Okay, welcome everyone. So this is the last of the monthly Thursday meetings on my Zoom, which I said earlier in the year I'd run them until this meeting kind of string ran out. And then Julie is going to continue with her weekly Zooms on a Thursday at 12, but not next week. So
No, I'm okay for next week. It's the beginning of August week that I'm not okay for.
okay, all right. So oh, that's good then. So next week is actually the new moon on Thursday the 24th. So basically, yeah. So Julie, we'll put out it's a different Zoom link because it will be on your Zoom, and so thank you for that. So you'll continue. So that will be every week at 12 noon on Thursdays, apart from the first week in August, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I might not record any of it, but if we feel that we want to record some of it and share it, we will do. But usually I don't.
Yeah, cool. So that's great. You're keeping going. And here's Daniel. So before we launch into a discussion of anything, hi Daniel. We're just starting, just literally starting. Before we launch into a discussion of anything, let's just do a quick alignment. It's always a nice thing to do. I've had a busy morning already. It's always nice just to take a bit of a breath and a sigh and to drop into the space. So it's really good to unfold everything and sit nice and straight with this nice straight spine, feet flat on the floor so you're fully earthed. And just to drop and take 3 long deep breaths, blowing in, breathing in through the nose and blowing out slowly over the bottom lip. You might want to do a sigh on the out breath just to release any tension. Consciously dropping from mind, the busy mind, trying to work it all out into the body. Those breaths are really good to calm the nervous system. Consciously coming out of everything we were doing this morning in the run-up to today's call, any rushing and busyness, consciously coming out of anything we're due to do later today, so we can all be fully present in the now moment where the power is. Yeah, so just to do a little bit of an opening, Rog and I have been exchanging emails about the importance of trial by jury, to assert our right to a trial by jury. I've accompanied Rog to court in his attempts to assert that. I'm going back to court tomorrow. I have an appeal at Worcester Crown Court, which I am appealing my criminal conviction for not filling in a form, which was done in my absence after I was basically told to leave the court or be charged with contempt last time I went by Judge Strongman. So I'm appealing. Tomorrow's my hearing. I'll hear tomorrow if it's actually going ahead, because they don't tell you until literally the afternoon before. It's really bad because I've got to drive to Worcester, so it's difficult to make plans if you only know literally hours before. But nonetheless, I'm planning to set sail for Worcester to stand. And again, I'm defending myself. It's important not to engage with lawyers and barristers, because essentially you're giving your power to the system if you engage a lawyer or a barrister. And of course, they've sworn an oath to the bar, so they're there to uphold the system, not really to act on your behalf. So I will be defending myself, and I've got Dean of Buxton coming to support me, which is a really good thing. So let's hope it went better than my last court appearance. But I do believe it's really important to stand in our power, to challenge the system. And individually, we might not be successful, but as I said to Raj after his last one, every time that we push back, we're like a wave against the cliff. Wave after wave after wave. A single wave might not make much difference, but wave after wave after wave can bring the cliff down. And especially with things like speeding points, as I've said before on calls, I did a Freedom of Information request, and there's over 5 million drivers every single year, receiving speeding notices where they send you a form, which essentially they are forcing you to confess by filling in this form. And of course, we have the right to remain silent. The legislation has removed our right to a trial by jury and said you can only be tried in a magistrate's court with a speeding offence. So therefore the legislation is unlawful because it's a criminal offence, not a civil offence. And therefore, if it's a civil offence and I'm being accused of being a criminal, I have a right in common law to a trial by jury. So I'm asserting all of these points in tomorrow's appeal hearing. So let's hope I don't get sent down for contempt, which is a 6-month prison sentence. It is a risk going into a court because it is a portal. It's a portal to a prison. Nonetheless, it's important to stand in our power and to speak out, I believe, even though it's personally quite stressful for me. But nonetheless, I realise that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, not the other way around. Anyhow, that's my little intro. So I'm particularly in the mindset of law, and Roger and I are planning to do an afternoon event one Saturday next May in Yorkshire to talk about the Constitution and in particular our right to a trial by jury. So we're just inviting speakers. We're hopefully going to get a nice lineup of speakers to talk, and it's going to be devoted to Roger's favourite subject, which is the English Constitution and most importantly, the assertion of our rights, because it's one thing to have a right, it's quite another to get the courts to recognise that right, which is what we are actually doing. Anyhow, that's my little intro, so maybe that will be the flavour of today, and anything else you want to add in there, Julie or Daniel. The other big thing that I'm doing at the moment, having healed from my bleeds on the brain, is that I've taken the decision to detox and to give up alcohol completely now. So I'm on day 4 of that, and I've been reading a lot, doing a lot of research into it's a conspiracy theory that was right under my nose, and I never saw it in my whole life before. But I've been reading a really good book about it all by a TED speaker who has chosen to specialize in the deadly relationship between women and alcohol, and reading her book, and it's bringing it home to me just how that whole industry, how manipulative it is in terms of marketing to get women addicted to drinks, and how so many women use alcohol as a way to wind down, to de-stress, to numb, and it's definitely a contributory factor to stroke, and especially as you get older, it's one of the factors to bleeds on the brain. So for me personally, from a health point of view, it's becoming a kind of like I don't have any option. If I want to live, I really need to look after my health, I've realised. So much as I love, a glass of wine and a glass of beer and whatnot, I've really taken a real decision to focus on my health at the moment, and sort of drinking and eating really healthily as I heal. Although I've healed these bleeds on my brain, I'm conscious I don't want to have a relapse or to risk having a relapse. So anyway, those are my 2 big subjects. So I don't know if anyone else wants to introduce other topics. Rod, shall we come to you, as you've been quite active? I don't think you've been on, certainly you haven't been on the People Speak Out calls recently. So how are you getting on over there, Rog?
Well, I'm okay, and we're now you and I are involved in the presentation in spring, so that's taking quite a lot of time. And I endorse everything that you've said, and I really can't add very much to that. I think I ought to mention the speakers that we've invited, of course, are you, myself, and Graham Moore of the English Constitution Party and Society, and also William Keat and Dean of Buxton.
I haven't invited him yet, but I'm going to speak to him about it tomorrow when I see
Oh,
him.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all I've really got to say, in addition to what you've said already.
Thanks, Rog.
Because
I mean, it's a
because
great lineup. Imagine if we get all those speakers, it's going to be a great lineup, and we can have a really, really good open discussion and debate about, and we'll film it as well for anyone who can't make it. And I feel so passionate about this. I know you do. So thank you for initiating that, Rog.
well, you're the trailblazer in this, and you know, the one putting your neck on the line. So I thank you for that. And yeah, we're going to have a brilliant presentation next spring. I know it seems a long way off, but it's best to have a good lead-in time. It gives us a chance to promote the event well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it'll be by ticket. The tickets will be have to be paid for. We haven't decided on the price as yet,
Yeah.
but your idea to have what you've called a conscious mechanism to the tickets, that is to say, we'll put a minimum price on the cost of the ticket, and if somebody wants to pay more, they can do from their own generosity. And because
Yes.
the cost of the event is going to be fairly substantial. We've got travel costs to pay for the presenters, and the hire of the room, which isn't a lot actually. It's only
Yeah. We're trying to
£50.
keep the costs down.
Yeah, we're trying to keep the costs down.
And make it affordable. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's only
and
going to be 100 tickets, so when we'll go out with a super early bird offer as soon as we got the lineup complete, and then so hopefully people will support it.
yeah, because I mean, I really planned the event um, with Rachel's enterprise in mind regarding court appearances. To you know, because I mean, this is going to be on YouTube and maybe other social media as well. So
Yes.
I think it's important that we let the public know what Rachel's had to go through to secure a trial by jury. If she succeeds, which I think she will do, because she's very proficient in presenting her case, and she's not going to crumble under pressure. So I see no reason why she shouldn't succeed in getting a trial by jury. And so it's important that the whole world really knows about this, the whole world, because we're talking about common law jurisdictions being acknowledging what Rachel's doing, and that includes New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and a few other
Yeah.
common law areas, which also includes the United States of America. So what Rachel's doing is extremely important to at least half the world.
Well, the thing about the British Empire is that the British implanted the legal system in every Commonwealth country and their education system. So even though the British Empire, this is Dean being his bonnet, even though the British Empire is no longer, it still exists because all of those structures and religions and all of the religion, justice systems, education systems, health systems, even and infrastructure systems were all left in place, even though the British Empire ended. So that it still exists in terms of the program, the false matrix is still locked in place in most of these countries.
Yeah, yes, I agree with
Yeah.
you. And so what Rachel is doing is defending democracy, because if we don't have trial by jury, how can we combat the tyranny in the system.
Well, it's more than democracy, though, isn't it, Rog? Because in a trial by jury, you need a unanimous decision, whereas democracy only requires 51% or over 50% of the people. So therefore, in truth, democracy can push through all sorts of evils and also all sorts of legislation on the back of democracy, whereas the Constitution and a trial by jury means that 12 of your fellow man and woman have to find you guilty, i.e. beyond reasonable doubt, and they can question the legislation. So trial by jury goes beyond democracy, it's true to say, because it can actually overturn any law passed by Keir Starmer or whoever insane psychopath or sociopath is in charge. And so it's very important that we create awareness that you do not have to accept a magistrate's court or a single justice procedure. You do not have to consent to that. You have the right to a trial by jury, and it's important for us all to assert that, because if everyone asserted that, the entire justice system would actually collapse.
Absolutely. And it would be replaced. Well, not replaced, but the common law principles would be regenerated.
Yes.
Which the courts are not applying now. I just got to correct you with something you said there.
Yes.
And you said that the government passes laws. Well, it doesn't.
Legislation, I meant, sorry.
Yeah, well, it's a very easy mistake to make. I excuse you for that.
Attempts to pass laws, legislation, but as we know, all legislation is essentially corrupt.
Absolutely, yes.
Julie, sorry, do you want... We'll come back to you, Rog, but I'm just conscious to get Julie and Daniel on just so they can express. They might have completely different topics they want to talk about today.
Yeah, well, I think I've said what I need to say.
Cool, and thanks, Rog.
I just wish you good fortune tomorrow.
Thank you.
I am optimistic.
Thank you. Julie, anything you want to discuss today or pick up on what we've discussed?
Yes, I can do. And we're all sending lots of love and healing thoughts and positives for tomorrow. And what will happen is exactly what's needed. And the way that you keep having to step up for us, and I know it is on behalf of us, even what you went through with the police raid and then you moving house significantly and all that lot. But I really do appreciate it and thank you for that. So you mentioned the speeding thing, and I heard something the other day and they were saying about, oh, and it's all right for the police, the fire and the ambulances to speed because, oh, they're on an emergency. And actually I know there was once I was caught speeding, but I'd been following some sort of van with a trailer, and I'd come from Manchester Airport. I don't know where I'd been, but I'd been on holiday or training or something. I'd been following this thing with a trailer for miles at a very slow speed, and the one little bit that I could overtake it on the top of the Derbyshire Hills or wherever it was between Manchester and Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire. So I started overtaking it. There was the police with the speed thing.
Oh, knowing
that I wasn't doing harm. Yeah. All I was doing was overtaking, and so they must catch many people there. I mean, I am talking years ago now. These days, you know, I'd have a completely different approach if I was sent that sort of speeding fine anyway. But I know that in certain circumstances, we need to speed up to actually be safer.
Well,
and
yes.
Yeah, and we don't need these 20-mile-an-hour limits and stuff like that, and all these chuffing speed bumps that cause a lot of problems for people that have got health issues and overbump people. Yeah. The whole system just needs changing. And the way that we've got all these potholes, I know in Mansfield and District, it is an absolute nightmare. But hopefully Reform UK are in Mansfield and District as our local councillors, and even Nottinghamshire County Council. The local guys of the Reform UK, I really do trust. And I went to a meeting. I'm not a member of Reform UK, but I went to the meeting last night really to suss how I really feel about them, because the things that they seem to be doing are very positive. And I don't trust all of them, even one that's relatively local to me, but I'm not going to bother to name his name. And the ones at the top of there, I don't know how I feel because I've never met them. Richard Tice isn't my flavour of the month, but the local ones are really working on lots of different areas, and particularly because we've got Mick Barton as the lead of Nottinghamshire County Council, and they are really looking into lots of stuff that needs addressing. So I'm feeling even more positive after going to last night than I had been as I prepared to go. And they are interested in having support for different things they're doing. When you mentioned alcohol, Rachel, our body produces alcohol even when it needs to, and it wouldn't be able to process it if it didn't recognize it. And even healthy eating and alcohol and all stuff like that. So they've even taken over the way that gin's made. And I know it might sound a bit of a trivial thing, but I only used to like Gordon's gin that was in a green bottle. And to me, if I was having gin and tonic, that is the sort I would like. Any other, it didn't taste like gin. Someone's given me a blackberry gin recently to thank me for something I've done for them. And I've tried it and it's like, that's not like proper gin. I think, like they're doing adverse things with other foods and stuff. I think they're doing adverse things with these different alcohols as well. So when I was a child, I was born in 1960. When I was a child and growing up, basically until I was sort of in my probably later teens, you only had Mansfield Bitter, mild, Guinness, one type of cider, woodpecker cider. Then they started introducing others. Now, years and years, I'm talking century or more ago, children used to have to drink beer, and it was only low alcohol beer. But because they couldn't drink the water because it wasn't clean, they had to drink beer, and they got vitamins and minerals from it. But what they're doing, as they are doing with a lot of our foods and other drinks, and even the tap water, they are deliberately changing it to make it adverse for us. So whatever you have with love. And I know when I was in my 40s, I was so allergic and intolerant to things partly because of how stressed I was. But all the stuff that was supposed to be healthy would have literally have killed me. Even having a little bit of apple started my ears itching and my mouth and throat swelling. And I did go and take an antihistamine now, but now I know more about antihistamines even. Yes, it did save my life on that time, but I was literally on 3 antihistamines a day for at least 6 months of the year because of how allergic I was. And my periods virtually stopped. So that wasn't doing my blood system any good. So whatever you have with love, not fear, and do and eat what feels right, and don't tidy your plate up, because even having a few crumbs extra actually adversely can affect your body. But also, if you're stressed, your body can't metabolize even water properly to rehydrate you, and then you can be going to the toilet much more, and you're not even hydrating yourself. So, and as far as age is concerned, please don't go with the society approach on age. They are being so ageist. I'm fitter now at 65, which I was last month, than I was in my 30s. And I'm so glad I got into the yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, and complementary therapies. And that's what's really helped me. You were talking about legislation and the spells of legislation. So the spells of each word. And when we start looking at that, we know the nocebos they're putting in our everyday life. And there's negative messaging. And what they could be doing is putting placebos in, positive messaging. And that has scientifically been shown to work. And that's where we need to stay. And that's where we live with love, not fear. And to me, the natural laws, first, do no harm, cause no injury, cause no loss. That is all we need to adhere to. And that might be different in different situations. That's why you can't have legislation that tells you, oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. No, in certain circumstances, that might actually kill someone. In other circumstances, it'll save them. So I've been involved, I'll just very briefly just say I've been involved with Health Watch locally, and they're getting to know me now. Place-based partnership, which is the council coming together with the NHS and voluntary services and people like me, patient and public voice. So I'm doing lots of stuff in the background. I've also shared a David Icke video today about love, and that is really worth watching and listening to. It's only relatively short, but oh my goodness, proper love is where we need to come from. I also listened to a YouTube thing about the king and not recognizing Christianity and stuff, and another YouTube with Tommy Robinson and Neil Oliver, really stating we need to recognize God, not dogmatic and religious God, and we don't need dogmatic politicians either. What we need is genuine love, care and compassion, strong communities, and to work together for that. So thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Rod, you've got your hand up, but can I come to Daniel first, or is there something quick you want to add?
I just want to say that I'm going to have to leave early because I've got an appointment for lunch with an important activist.
Nice.
So I'm going to have to leave early.
All right,
Probably-
Rod. Well, thanks for coming
probably-
on.
Probably within the next 5 minutes.
All right, Rod. Thanks for letting us know. So have a nice lunch if we don't get a chance to say that later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, Raj, thanks. And Daniel, do you want to speak this week? Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes. You look
Okay.
so different with your haircut and your beard cut.
It's in a transitional phase again, isn't it? Won't be long before I have to cut it again. Anyway, so yeah, I'll come along to that event in spring.
Oh, cool.
And I like to support the things you're doing, and I know both of your hearts are in the right place. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of good people there as well. Probably a few agents as well, but the more the merrier. They might
We
learn
welcome
something.
77th Brigade, perfectly welcome as long as they buy a ticket.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw a little, I don't want to call it a spanner in the works, but give a perspective. So there are people in what you might call the freedom movement, the love movement, the truth movement, anything like that, who are of the view that democracy is a psyop, that anarchy, as in nobody telling you what to do, is ideal. People of that view. I'm not saying that's my view. I'm saying there are people of that view.
I know
My
one of
view-
those well.
Say again?
I know one of those anarchists well.
Yeah. I mean, it's a popular view. I think it's just missing one trick.
What's that?
My view is that tribal beats it all.
Yeah.
And by that, I don't mean a leader that nobody wants, because that leader would not be the leader if nobody wanted them. I'm talking leader that everybody is his leader.
Mm.
That person instantly can change anything. And it's like democracy in that the people generally can affect who's the leader. But there's also executive decision. That leader's not best qualified to make them. Then shouldn't be the leader. But if that leader is best qualified to say, we need to be careful of that, we absolutely need to do this, even if very few people can see why, you know? So I think
Yes.
the tribal system, the ancient tribal system, every culture in the world, is actually the better system. The democracy is a psyop, but it's probably a step closer to if we can bring that back. Yeah, I see a major weakness in this trial by jury person, in that it could be a rigged jury.
Well, you can look at the jury which has
Yeah,
been selected at random, and you
and
can
say I don't want you, I don't want
investigate
you.
them. Yes,
Yeah.
so there is a certain measure of
Yeah.
bypassing that. Julie, did you want to?
Yes, I
Make
mean,
some comment?
sadly, we can't even trust them properly to get a proper jury that is totally neutral and not a contrived group of people. Like when I was asked why I hadn't attended one of the vote counts for one of the candidacy things that I'd been on a ballot paper for, and I just said to him, well, if it's going to be rigged, whether I'm there or not, it won't make any difference. And when we see what Andrew Bridgen's gone through, he's helped confirm that even more. So, but I would say, as far as if we look at the genuine term of democracy and the origins of where that came from, then what we don't need is a leader that is dictating. And any leader, the best leaders are those that the people don't even know they're being led. But when they need some support of some sort, they will be one of the key people that those people will go to ask for their opinion. And there's very, very rare times that a leader might need to say, right, this is what we've got to do. Only, less than even 0.00001% of the time. But very, very rarely a leader might need to do that for something. I can't even think of an example at the moment. But the best leaders are those that are respected. They are not dictating. They are not imposing. And there will be people that they will go to. And like quite often I get people come to me. I'm not saying I'm a leader, but I'm someone that people do recognize and ask me for my opinion. And if I don't know an answer, and this used to get my ex-partner didn't like it when I said this. When I didn't know an answer, I'd say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know, but I will find out. He always used to say, can't you just say you don't know? Well, no, because I'll go and try and find out. And if I can recommend someone onto somewhere else, and it's like with complementary therapies, because I'm a qualified and professional complementary therapist, and I've taught various of the therapies. But I wouldn't say, oh, I recommend that therapy. I'd rather know the therapist and be able to recommend the person. And there's certain ones that I would not recommend, but that is the same with every area of life. And that's why I went to the reform meeting last night, because unless I've physically been with someone to actually properly source, so even having these meetings on here, yes, you can get to know people, but I've been on loads of the NHS Zoom meetings and things. And then when I've actually gone to a meeting that we could physically meet up at, it's like, oh, is that the same person? But also when you are one-to-one with them or in a group and physically there, you can get to know their energy better. And I know I'm very sensitive as far as people's energy is concerned, and that helps me to follow my gut instincts better, hopefully. But yeah, so when you think tribal beats all, every tribe, even if you're just one-to-one with someone, it's a very different relationship to if somebody else is with you, if you're as a threesome, and you'll all be behaving differently and need to behave differently. And it's really just, so what is a tribe? And I know I'm so glad that we've met together, because I consider a lot of people through the love movement are like family to me. They don't have to be genetically, and all that stuff is a load of rubbish anyway. And I've heard of 2 people recently who've done their sort of DNA thing and found out that their parents weren't the ones that they thought they were. But also, it's more about genuine care and not trying to suppress someone, but also letting each person be an individual, be integrated enough into whatever community they want to be supported enough, but not impose on them, and want them to thrive so much that they don't even need contact with you necessarily. So hopefully, yeah, that's enough. Right.
Thanks, Julie. So I'd like to say the way I see it in terms, because the freedom movement is not supposed to have any leaders, but what you do tend to find in all societies is you get initiators and organisers. So, for example, Rog, he's initiating this event next May, and organising it and inspiring me to get involved. But he's the keeper of the, you know, the concept. And so Roger's kind of a self-appointed leader of the project, but he's not taking on a leadership role so much as he's just initiating something because he feels passionate about it, in the same way I initiated Bakewell Stand in the park because I felt passionately that we should have somewhere local and not have to get in a car and drive to Buxton or you know, Belper. And then of course you get all the flack. Oh, you're positioning yourself as a leader. And I just remember when I got all that flack and I said to Dean, what do I do? He said, make everyone, like on the Bakewell group, make everyone an admin. So literally I made like the first 30 people all admins and just said, you're all the leader now, you know. And it completely killed all of this all of this kind of argy-bargy, oh, you're the leader. But we need people, most people are happy to follow other people's lead and get involved and say, yeah, I'll come to your event. But not everyone is an initiator and an organizer, and we need those people. And you tend to find in tribes that the person who's naturally the shaman is the person who everyone respects. And if they say, right, we're going to do a peace fire ceremony or a despacho, everyone comes and attends because they have the natural respect of the people. So, and likewise, if you initiate an idea and no one shows up, you know, it's usually because you've lost the support of the people. And I you know, for whatever reason that might be, and I also know that feeling myself. So it's kind of like the people will tell you. And so like someone like Keir Starmer, you know, he didn't have the mandate of the people. He got less than 20% of the vote, and he's quickly proved himself to be probably the worst prime minister in British history. And yet he still keeps dictating to us like he's got some kind of power. Julie, let's come back to you.
Yeah, and this is where I know at different times I've had, you know, like holding a workshop, and there was one particular one that I was starting to get concerned. I didn't ask for deposits before they were coming, but certain people had committed to it supposedly and were going to come. And for really good reasons, they ended up dropping out. But at one point, before they started dropping out, I was getting concerned that, oh, I'm going to have to refuse some people to come because I wouldn't have had room for them to be able to come into where I lived. And then people started dropping out. Literally the day before the event was happening, this guy had to drop out because his car had literally broken down. I only had one person that came. It was a healing workshop I was doing. If I'd have had anybody else there, I wouldn't have been able to work with that one person in the way that I did. And I know that was God sent. And even because she was a healer and she was used to closing her eyes when she was doing healing. And I ended up, I think through the health kinesiology, it came, I think I guided it, that she needed to do a meditation. And out of my back garden, it was on the second floor. You could see some beautiful, you know, trees and nature and stuff. What she needed to focus on for this meditation was a street light with her eyes open. I'm like, all right, okay. And I just trusted it. And it really helped her as a healer, because before then she used to go to the place of bliss while she was doing the healing, and she wouldn't sort of be grounded to be there with a client. And I'm sure they'd receive a lot of healing and benefit from it. But if anything else happened in the environment, like when I was working at one healing group, someone's chair collapsed that I wasn't working with, because I got my eyes open as a healer, I could sort of tell my client, right, I'm just going to have to go off here. You just wait there. I went and helped, got this person up, she was fine, and then I went back. If I'd have had my eyes closed, I wouldn't have been able to help the other people in that situation. So it's just, yeah, different things for different people, but also it's not necessarily about loads of numbers. And I think didn't we have an event once, Rachel, with the Love Movement, that we were thinking, oh, I thought more people had come than this. But actually what we did do was great and was absolutely fine.
Yeah, small groups of focused people who are absolutely wholeheartedly there are actually more powerful, in my experience, than big groups. Actually, there can be a tremendous power in a small torus field of highly committed people. So this idea that it's got to be big to be meaningful or powerful is not actually true at a metaphysical level.
And if you think of each of those people going out as a leader that's not taking that leadership as a label, but is someone that other people respect, then that filters out in more powerful ways than if you have loads and loads of people there.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So any other thoughts, Dan, on that, Rog?
Well, I agree with what people are saying. Leaders just naturally surface, if that's the best word to use. And you don't have to be a leader, as somebody said, of the whole movement. You can simply be the leader of a project, which is what I am with. Well, in fact, we are joint leaders of the project of the presentation in spring. So this is the way that authority is bestowed upon somebody, not by decree or anything like that, but simply by popular opinion.
By the people, yeah. And this is the thing about the freedom movement, is why it's so powerful, is because it isn't just one. Because in the beginning we were like, let's get everyone in one thing, but actually the reason why it's so powerful is there's pockets and cells and circles, and they're all cross-pollinated. And you find this, like I noticed this in Derbyshire, there's lots of different groups who are all crossing over, and so it makes it very difficult for the system or the authorities to work out who's in charge, because everyone's in charge, and there's no, it's also, and a lot of it's underground, and so it's kind of, we're very powerful for that reason. Julie?
I love the way that you included the list in the email that you did of the different groups that there are. And I mean, I am connected, I think, with all of those.
Yeah.
And it feels right too, but I'm a multitasker. That's why my surname's Tasker. And that's how I've always been in life. And I think it's really powerful. But also, if you realise that military and police will infiltrate groups when they're doing well.
Yeah.
And so we'll see that as a positive, because there was a group that I was attending recently, and we definitely had an infiltrator then. And we've experienced that before, haven't we, Rachel?
Yeah.
And see it as a positive and face it with love, not fear. And we might even help them to realise that their role that they thought they were doing isn't as helpful as what we're doing. And if we can help them to be catalysed into changing their approach in life in a positive ways, then that can be helpful. So thank you.
Cool. Daniel, did you want to add something?
Yeah, Roger said something earlier. If the bad structure kind of gets broken down, the ideal way will regenerate itself. So this is one of Julie's favorite books, Lao Tzu. He said very similar to that. He said, abolish the law and forget about rights. People will go back to duty and caring.
Yes.
And if that is what you're thinking when you say natural law or common law, then our philosophies are the same.
Because essentially it is rooted in fundamental spiritual principles, isn't it? Not religious.
But then obviously the strict jury procedures of this many people is when you start getting into actual like legislation types.
I think jury, well, Roger probably knows this more than me, but jury is an ancient way of deciding things, to have 12, maybe it does come from the Bible, actually, having the 12 disciples.
And if they're genuinely chosen, if they're genuinely chosen, then that's okay. But because of the way things are now, let's hope, and we'll put the energy there that it will be exactly what's needed. But they are trying to, as they're doing with lots of things, contriving it to their system instead of what we really need and what it genuinely is. But yeah, and the Lao Tzu thing is the named restricts, whereas the nameless is infinite, as well as what Dan said. So thank you, Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add that the 12 number of people to be on a jury actually comes from a trial, I think during the King Alfredian days, where there was a trial and 12 witnesses turned up. So originally it was 12 witnesses, not 12 jurors. And that's where the 12 comes from.
Okay, Rog.
Yeah, so that's all I have to say on that.
My understanding is that the way that things in ancient times were decided was by 12 people who were independent, 12 free man and woman of the land, probably man, and that were independent of the situation, that decided on hearing all of the evidence, decided using common sense who was guilty and who was not guilty and what the remedy should be to restore, because obviously justice is about balance. So usually if there's a problem, there's an imbalance. So someone's stolen something from someone else or someone's hurt someone else. So justice is about restoring that balance. So what fine or punishment should be be.
And I'm sure the numerology of 12 will be relevant there as well. But also, even when you think of harming somebody else, yes, I mean, and this happens a lot with bullies. Quite often the bully doesn't get noticed, but the person being bullied, once they keep putting up with, and then they finally kick out, or perhaps they're feeling really threatened by the bully, and then they're quite often the one that might get remonstrated against because they kicked out. And then when they say, oh yeah, but they did all this, no. And that's where, when I was a teacher in schools, and I mean, I've worked with behaviour unit kids and everything, and it's more about watching what is happening. But a lot of people, including sadly in our education system, they're not watching to know what's really happening with those children, as to why they might kick out. And that happens with adults.
I'm just going to have to go and get something out of my eye because it's going to. So keep talking.
I could see that something was happening with her eye, bless her. So yeah, so I think we are supporting each of us is supporting the world in the way that we can best. And it is really knowing everybody's got a different role. So if you think of a machine, and with the oil of the machine, the oil is no less or more important than the rest of the machine. Without that oil lubricating the machine properly, it won't work properly. But also, if there's too much oil in it, it'll flood it and then it won't work properly. And we all have different roles, and we've all got different personalities. We know that. And I'm amazed at the different things I'm stepping up to these days. I've got 2 brothers, 2 sisters. There's only 7 years between the lot of us, and I'm the second born. I always thought I was very quiet and reserved and all that lot, but that's because the rest of my family are a lot sort of louder. And when I was with them, I would be the quiet one. And so, yes, I'm the sort of the black sheep of the family, if we call it that. But through their teaching, I've learned to be able to stand my ground better. And instead of what I used to do, and literally, I'm still learning this, I used to comply too much with what I thought people wanted. And then when I got into the complementary therapies and healing, when I started positively asserting, people would say, I thought you were supposed to be spiritual, Julie. Well, we're all spiritual beings having physical experiences. Just because I'm spiritual doesn't mean you're going to walk all over me. And I know sometimes, I excuse the language, do piss people off because I do assert, but sometimes I'm a grain of salt in the oyster, hopefully creating a pearl of wisdom. And I might not know what pearl of wisdom that is that's coming through. And it's so subtle. So sit on your hands, Rachel, so that you don't rub it.
Yeah,
And
no,
we'll let you-
I think it's working. I think I've got some kind of little speck because I was doing some DIY before we came on. I think I've got a bit of speck of dust in it or something.
So when I'd gone through my marriage breakdown, I got this tremendous red rash on the back of my neck. I had it for years. Finally, I told my hands they were calm and relaxed. And within days, the neck improved. Very soon, it had gone. And it's like, why did I not think of doing that earlier? So sometimes, so we've got Roger rubbing his eye now as well. It's amazing how what you focus on can change what you experience in life.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm doing A Course in Miracles at the moment, Rachel. And someone asked me to set up a WhatsApp group. It's the 6th time that I've gone through it. But because now I'm doing it through the group that I've got, I'm in sort of teacher mode. And
Yeah.
it's like I've never done them before. And it's
Yeah.
like, why do I have to be in that role to engage with it in that same way to get so much out of it? And I know I've done the different lessons before because literally I've written little notes in my book. And have I done this before? Then I look at it. Oh, yes, I must have done because I've written something in there. So I know that's one of my roles in life. And I love to be a teacher. Hopefully, I'm respected. I don't have to be liked because what I'm there for is trying to get the best out of the person. And they might not appreciate it while I'm actually teaching them. But if I can keep nudging them to help them to realize what they can do, that's the only reason I'm nudging them. And sometimes I know I have to then back off. So thank you. Anyway, I'll let you.
Thanks, Julie. So what you're saying about this sort of like when people say, "Oh, you're spiritual. You're supposed to be spiritual, aren't you?" And it was the same with the whole love movement and putting love in our names. And people are like, "Oh, you're supposed to be love. That's not very loving, is it? You're supposed to be all about love." And to me, and we always said that from the beginning, that love isn't a kind of necessarily a sort of fluffy marshmallow thing. It's passionate and it's strong and it's like a mother and her cubs, and love is a very powerful force, and it has many faces, and it's yeah, so interesting.
Yeah. And I keep putting, even now, when I'm putting messages on my WhatsApp group for the A Course in Miracles, I quite often put genuine love. And I think that is because of what I've gone through in life, not feeling genuinely loved. And it's then, well, what is genuine love? And if you think of, if sympathy and empathy, if somebody's in a boat and it's sinking, if you jump in that boat and sink with them, you're in sympathy. If you notice the boat sinking and the person's in it, you help to support that boat and plug the holes or whatever. And what you're really looking forward to is when they can float off on their own and be in charge of their own boat. And in the Buddhist way, your paths will come together as and when needed, but you don't have to be holding on to each other. And this is what genuine love is, allowing each person to be authentic, enjoying your time together. But like with any friends, if you've been apart for years, if you're genuine friends and you really know each other, you'll pick up as though you've never been apart again. And that is what genuine love and friendship is about.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. Cool. Okay, so any last thoughts? We're coming up to 1 o'clock. Dan,
Well,
Raj?
it seems that I haven't had to leave early because the lady I was going to meet has got a very bad memory, and she was obliged to confirm our meeting, but she hasn't called me. So that's why I've been able to stay on, thankfully.
Oh, well, hopefully she'll manifest herself, Raj, so you shall go to the ball after all.
Yeah, well, I'll call her after the meeting.
Yeah, cool.
It's just God making sure that you stay on till the end, you see.
Yeah.
So you can keep rubbing your eyes.
Yeah, well, I get a problem a lot. I get kind of weeping in my eyes for no reason.
Well, let them weep because your eyes will be needing it. And what you don't need to do is have it stopped, because that is not helpful for you. There's much healthier ways, because what they're doing actually, NHS wise, there are a lot of people are having their dry eye or wet eyes eye dropped, and then they create cataracts and stuff like that. So please just go with nature with it and keep going with the flow. Yeah.
Well, it itches, so I've got to keep touching it.
Well, try not to keep touching it. Try and sit on your hands, breathe. And I mean, I use Bach Flower Rescue Remedy and I actually put it in my eyes. Yes, it does sting a little bit, but I've had even bloodshot eyes, and within a day, it's improved it. So please,
Well, I've got to wipe the liquid away.
well, you don't have to wipe the liquid away. It can just keep. Anyway, I'll leave you with that one.
I just did that. Daniel, any last thoughts from you before we end?
There was a question posed of when would the leader, who in theory is the most humble person, who should cast the stone, has the least sin, when would they actually cast us? Would they actually put their foot down and say this needs to happen? That question was posed, and I can think of two examples.
Yeah.
So one is, I'm not big into it, but there was a story of Jesus with the 12 disciples, and he knew that one would betray him. He could spot the Judas. Nobody else could. He could. That's his job. He can be trusted with that, even if probably nobody else can, to see what's coming. He's got that vision. And the other one, probably when he over the tables, it's the only time I think he was angry, but he needed to throw them people out.
Yes,
There's a couple of examples.
On that, Daniel, you know, through my remote viewing, a few months ago, some of the future forecasters had realised that something adverse was going to happen, and so they really put it out there, which sometimes they might have just held it back until it happened. And they put it out there, and they even said, we are putting this out there so that hopefully it won't happen. And then those people that want to say that this remote viewing is a load of rubbish can say that, but we know that we've helped to stop it happening. So that's a form of remote influencing. So Paul Smith, one of the American military that was part of the development of the remote viewing, controlled remote viewing, which was called coordinated remote viewing. And now, interestingly, is starting being called scientific remote viewing. So controlled remote viewing, I believe that term was brought in to try and put naturally psychic people off from even trying to engage with it. I personally want all our kids and everybody to learn to do it, because everybody does it anyway. But so Paul Smith talks about the past and the present being like the solid parts of the tree, including the roots, and the future is like etheric branches. There's certain things that are destined to happen, but also other things that it's our free will choice as to whether it does happen or not. And I like that concept, and that's where sometimes when they're doing the future forecasting, they'll get things that they weren't expecting that's really shouting at them. And even one of them was told that he was off target because the guy that had set the coordinate for him wanted him to be getting in touch with some extraterrestrial in an alien UFO type stuff. And he didn't. He got in touch with some military stuff that was going to happen, and a ship was going to be blown up by their enemy. And then, so that was, I think, on a Friday. By the end of that weekend, that ship had been blown up. And so they got back to him and said, right, can you give us more information about what you'd found out? But he'd been told that he was wrong in what he was doing and that he'd gone off target. He'd not gone to the target that that person had wanted, but he went to a significant happening that was going to happen. So yeah, so I mean, the remote viewing that I do, it's really helped me in lots of areas of life to cope with my sensitivities to things. And I can even view dead bodies and things like that now and help people to find missing people, missing things, etc. So and I really am looking forward to everybody learning to do it properly. Okay, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Julie. I'm going to close it there because it's 1:02. Thanks for coming on. Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Rog. Thanks, Daniel. And we will see you again. Well, Julie's going to chair, as I said at the beginning, every Thursday at 12 noon. It will be on Julie's Zoom from now on. apart from the first week in August. So that I'll put out the reminders, and it will be pinned in the Telegram group. So the best thing to do is to join the Love Movement Telegram group, and then you'll get it on there. So lots of love.
Yeah.
And
I might record some of them, but usually we don't bother recording any. But if anyone really wants us to record, we will do. Okay.
yeah,
So thank
cool.
you.
Okay, bye for now then. Thanks for coming on. Have a great day. Bye bye.